Hi, this is the bad boy, Joey Janela, and you're listening to the Going in Raw podcast. 'Cause Joey Janela always goes in.
This is the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, and you are listening to Going in Raw.
Hey everyone, Kenny Omega here. In case you didn't know, we have an awesome kick butt show called Steve and Larson's Going in Raw, and they're going to be supporting AEW every week amongst many other things. Goodbye and smooch. Good night.
Hey, Friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
And welcome back to Going in Raw, the only pro wrestling podcast you need to be listening to right here at youtube.com/Steve and Larson. Available wherever podcasts can be found. And of course, taped live at the Twitch, twitch.tv/Steve and Larson. Tonight, of course, we'll be doing our NXT TakeOver Deliver live reactions. The night 2 of Stand and Deliver. Thanks to everybody for joining us for night 1. We'll be doing night 2 also on the YouTube, and then we'll be coming back here for our recap of the show.
TakeOver Deliver, yes.
Yeah. So while that was happening, while night 1 was happening, there was also an AEW. There was a Dynamite.
Putting it, it existed.
It happened.
It happened.
You could sort of tell on paper that, with the exception of Mike Tyson being there.
Well, the main event, I think they were trying to draw eyeballs with that main event. With the Young Bucks and Moxley teaming up for the first time ever, based on what happened during the match, probably the last time.
For sure.
They tried to make it a episode worth watching. But there was maybe a half hour of meaty content that advanced stories, and then a bunch of other stuff. Yeah.
There wasn't not a whole.
But while we're here, let's get this out of the way. One major thing to come from this is during Chris Jericho's promo, he announced that Blood and Guts will be happening. Inner Circle versus Pinnacle. Steve now owes me $100. We made a bet a number of weeks ago. Steve said they wouldn't do Blood and Guts again. I said, yeah, they will. Sure enough, they did. Pay up.
Okay. So I am surprised that they're doing Blood and Guts. Well, I'm not surprised necessarily. When I said that, the name Blood and Guts was such a shot at something Vince McMahon had said. And I was kind of surprised that they would still, a year later, go ahead with the branding on this. I figured that if this is going to be War Games, that's what this is going to be.
They can't use War Games. I think WWE has that.
Yeah, but they trademarked the Match Beyond.
Yeah.
Which is another name for War Games. I figured they'd use that instead of do another dig at WWE, but they're going. Blood and Guts is a great name, so I'm not entirely shocked. I off the cuff said, bet you $100 they don't do it. It's a silly bet. I'm gonna offer you this instead on May 5th. Blood. Right. Well, okay. Here's the thing. I'm not gonna give you $100 because it's a stupid bet. And I'm not going to do that.
Then why did you make it?
It was just a silly comment that I made. But I will offer you this instead. On May 5th, Blood and Guts. I will do a live watch along, the proceeds of which will go to the charity of your choice. And I will produce, as an artiste, a limited edition print of Steve versus Larson, Blood and Guts, the proceeds of which will go to the charity of your choice.
All right.
So you can take that, or I will offer you $100 for you in the form of a giant bucket filled with pennies. Which would you prefer to do?
I'll take the charity stuff, because as it was, I was not going to take your money.
I know. And I thought that it's been a while since we've done a charity thing.
Yeah.
And so I thought this would be a great idea to do something for charity. So figure out
a couple friendos here saying take the pennies. That's just more an inconvenience for me. Little does Steve know the charity is going to be the human fund. It's money for people.
Oh, okay. We'll see. Yeah, you'll make out more this way, because the friendos, we'll do it like a regular charity thing where people will be able to put in for it. I will put in money as well. Also my time and my artwork. And so yeah, we'll do. It's been a while since we've done a charity thing. I think this would be a great idea for that.
Yes.
So yeah, I think it's awesome. I think that Jericho's promo last night was stellar. It was great. Here, this is what I was gonna do with the pen, because at first I was like, man, I gotta make a joke about this. I gotta make like a funny video about this. I was gonna get a bucket, put some bricks in it, and then like down at the bottom, I was gonna print out something that looked like pennies, and then put like $10 of pennies on top of it. And just to see if you ever figured out that it wasn't actually all pennies.
Oh, I probably would. I'd dig through it a little bit.
You dig your hand down into the pennies to see if it was all
like,
there.
Why is there cardboard here? like 3 inches down. Doesn't make any sense.
It'd have been funny, but then I was like, oh no, I'll do a charity thing, because I remember you mentioning the charity. thing.
Yeah, long ago when it got brought up, I was like, hey, don't pay me any money if this actually happens. Just give money to charity.
I thought it'd be fun to do a drive and do a poster and all that kind of stuff. So
that would be fun.
Yeah, we can make a thing about it.
Idea. We could do a huge thing. Dangam Q says $100 in NFTs.
I don't think you'd want that now. I think they crashed. From what I understand, the NFT market crashed.
Didn't take long.
Yeah, it did not take long at all.
Didn't take long.
So yeah, I think that's a good idea. Otherwise, yeah, I mean, Dynamite last night. I mentioned this to you half jokingly. It's like, well, Cody's not on the show, so they're gonna phone it in. It was just a bit goofier last night. I'm still not entirely on board. I know Matt Jackson's trying to do this big dramatic, I'm emotionally torn thing. I'm not buying it because it doesn't make a lot of sense.
Well, we've also seen it before. We saw it in New Japan when it was the Young Bucks versus the Golden Lovers. We've seen this storyline kind of play out already. And they are kind of referencing it. I mean, part of the problem with this episode, kind of backtracking a little bit, I feel like AEW is better when they don't have as much talking. Mm-hmm. This was a very talky episode. And when the episodes get talky, it gets bogged down in a bunch of promos. People, okay, I won't generalize for other people. I watch AEW because they're really good at telling stories in the ring. That's why I appreciate AEW's programming. Because they really focus on telling, and a lot of times it's interpersonal stories in the ring. They do that better than anybody else. And when they get people on the mic to explain stuff, and like there was a couple promo segments that made zero sense for to have them on the show, like the Death Triangle Best Friends one. There's basically no reason for that to exist other than, hey, best friends, we're back, we're coming after you. That could have been done in a 30-second backstage segment rather than having a full-on interview out in the ring. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's more efficient ways of relating those story beats than having the pageantry of Tony doing an interview at the top of the stage and have a Death Triangle out with their entrance, and you got best friends coming out with their entrance, and it's not efficient. Yeah. I want efficiency in storytelling, and that's why I like they do a lot of stuff in the ring during matches, because then you get your action, but then you also get storytelling.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't disagree with a lot of what you said. I think that the stronger episodes have a decent mix of the two. I do think that last night was very talky, and like, I don't know. I don't want to complain about them going long term and referencing stuff that happened in the past. But when the best friends come out and they're like, hey, remember when this happened over a year ago? It's one thing for Jericho to say, hey, blood and guts. We've been waiting a long time. Everybody's been waiting for blood and guts. And I was a bit naive to that. But when best friends comes out and they're like, hey, remember this that nobody else remembers ever happened? And they're like, oh, they still care about this? I mean, that is one of the wrestling conventions that I kind of have grown to appreciate, is that by and large, unless it's a big deal, wrestling has a short-term memory. It's like, you don't want, it's so they beat him up a long time ago. It's wrestling. Do you really need to get your revenge for this? Is it that big of a deal? Is it going to be some good matches? Yeah, but then you also have the thing where they come out, and the one thing I noticed last night was the one weakness about AEW is that because they give their sometimes too much freedom isn't a good thing. They go out there and they get on the mic, and nobody in Best Friends, they're very charismatic people, and I like them being on the screen. None of them are good talkers, really. Like, they get out there and they ramble their way through some stuff, and none of it's very dramatic or effective. And I know Orange Cassidy isn't supposed to be that, but the other guys get on there and they talk, and it's like, okay, I kind of wish you had a script or something. And I mean, Pac is great, but I'm talking about on the best friend side of thing. I don't know. It's just that stuff becomes a bit meandering, and it's like, God, it just feels like you're in promo class at a certain point.
Well, that's why I feel like stuff like that, where the story beat is essentially, hey, we remember what you did to us a year ago. You know, just do that real quick backstage stuff. That way you don't have X number of seconds you need to fill with talking. It's quick.
The best friends
there's a point to it.
continually are stuck with the weakest of motivations for all of their stories. They have like there was the arcade stuff, which has been lasting like, you know, forever until last week. Yeah. And now it's like, hey, remember over a year ago when that happened?
There was that segment, and then the Team Taz one.
I love Team Taz.
I thought the stuff they did backstage, I was like, this doesn't need this is like it ended with zero punctuation.
That's why I love it. It's why is this? And I say this out of affection because sometimes I appreciate the absurd. It's so wait, in kayfabe, you bring a camera over so that you can cut a promo, and the promo is just a couple moments of group therapy. There was no point whatsoever other than to see Team Taz continue to fall apart, which kind of made me laugh. And I like that kind of stuff in pro wrestling because Team Taz just makes me laugh. Hey, Christian, you want to come to our team?
Again, it's just, for me, it's about efficiency.
Yeah.
That's not an efficient use of time. You could have a match, a meaty match, or a match of some consequence, and have that play out before us. Show us, don't tell us, you know?
Can we talk about motivational speaker Sting? He gets interrupted every single week by Lance Archer.
He's the Elias of AEW.
Yes. Yes, he is. And he's like, hey, man, you know what? You are great. You're wonderful. And you can see Lance Archer being like, yeah, Sting just said I'm great. That's awesome.
And then he gets on Jake about, hey, show him how to do it.
Yeah,
he's getting on Jake about it.
It's like, I honestly just think that Tony Khan is like, hey, we're going to sink or swim based on the ability of these performers to go out and perform with really little to no direction. And on one hand, it's refreshing to watch. On the other hand, sometimes it comes off like just aimless and directionless. And like you said, if you're being efficient, you have direction. You know how to get from A to B.
Yeah, and I think also that's a reason why these episodes of Dynamite with a lot of backstage bits, a lot of talking bits, just aren't as good.
Yeah.
They just aren't. I can think the last few episodes of Dynamite that I was kind of like, meh. Like the through line is that they're really talky episodes. I just don't think that's AEW's strong point. I mean, it's not like they don't have good talkers. They do. When they rely on people talking to tell their stories, they just don't feel like the product's as good.
Yep. Let's go ahead and dive into it. The Steve Notes are out there. So if you're a patron, or if you're a YouTube channel member, or if you're a Twitch subscriber, they are they're available to you right now. It started off with Hangman Page versus Max Caster.
You want to talk about the Inner Circle showing up in like a fleet of fancy vehicles?
Oh, I guess I started this like a minute late because I didn't notice that.
Yeah, it was just a shot of them all pulling up. And
I do appreciate that they're turning the face heel thing on its head and showing up in all black. And then, of course, the one guy who has to buck that a little bit is Jake Hager, who has black on, but his pants are dark camo. It's still like black and white, black and gray camo, but still.
Yes.
But anyways, yeah. So then we had Hangman Page versus Max Caster. Caster drops a rap on the way to the ring. Very clever. A bit of a dated reference with Biden eating
falling
shit
down
on
the stairs,
on the steps to Air Force One. Not the most cutting lyrics, but whatever. Anyways, this is a fun enough match. Hangman won with the buckshot lariat after Caster and Bowens try to use the boombox on him. So yeah, decent enough match. I like Max Caster. I think he's good. He's got that good heel heat with me, man. He's got that face, and he's got the rap stuff that makes me want people to beat him up.
So let me ask you this: so Hangman is #1 ranked contender. In AEW, doesn't necessarily mean a title shot at next pay-per-view. It kind of feels like Double or Nothing is too soon since Kenny is still embroiled in all this other stuff. He's still got to have his match with Rich Swann. at a Rebellion
End of this month, yeah.
Yeah, and then Double or Nothing is end of May. You know, if it feels like All Out at the soonest would be the right time, maybe. I still feel like there's a ways to go.
You and I have
building Page back up to that level.
You and I have always mentioned All Out as kind of. I kind of think that it's All Out. Mm-hmm. That being said, it also wouldn't show. So when is Double or Nothing? It's May
30th, I think.
Oh, it's that. Okay, so it's still. That's still
a month and a half away.
That's still a month and a half away. A little bit, a month and 3 weeks away. This Kenny and the Bucks and Good Brothers thing seems like it is pretty thick, and we're pretty much at we're starting the second act of it, basically.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But then All Out seems like a long way away for a guy who's the number one contender.
I know, and you know, with the Elite kind of reforming, at least Kenny and the Bucks, the original iteration of the Elite, and given Page's own history with the Elite. Since there's kind of a coming together, you kind of wonder if they're going to try to bring him into it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, being former Bullet Club, you know, being one of the guys who left New Japan to form AEW. Are they going to try to bring him into it? Are we have a push and pull between Kenny, the Bucks, the Good Brothers, and Page with the Dark Order? Just don't know. But yeah, this in terms of how AEW, I feel like, kind of tells stories. Like you can make the argument that Double or Nothing is their Mania, or you can say it's All Out.
Yeah.
You can make the argument for you.
Yeah, sure.
Being that All Out has its roots in All In, which kind of kickstarted the whole thing, I kind of feel like that's kind of like the show on an annual basis. And if they're going to have a title change with Hangman winning, that would feel like the place to do it. And that's the soonest they'll probably have the full crowd too.
I think
the end of August.
In terms of a pay-per-view, end of August. Dude, I don't know, man. Things are moving so quickly right now. Things are moving really quickly. It would not shock me. It wouldn't shock me if they somehow try to get like 75% capacity for Double or Nothing. Well, they're
in Florida. They could do that right now.
Did they announce Double or Nothing for Florida? That's going to be Jacksonville?
Yeah, it's going to be. I think they said it was going to be in Jacksonville.
Yeah, they're in Florida. They can kind of do whatever they want now, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. I think that Double or Nothing is too early for Hangman Kenny.
Totally.
I don't know where. I mean, you know, even Hangman's been on the. Let's see, what did he do? He won, got some Page Wisers.
Yeah, and tossed a couple into the crowd, and then walked up into the concourse and left.
Is there anything going on in BTE that looks like it's going to be a meaty thing for him? I mean, he did the Matt Hardy thing, and that was like a good win for him because it's Matt Hardy.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, you know, it'd be good. You know, it'd be good for him. Lance Archer. Yeah. Lance Archer would be really good for Hangman Page. Anyways, Death Triangle interview is next. They come out, says, "Hey, you got your shots at being tag team champions next week."
Yeah, you know they're losing.
They're gonna lose. After that, those titles. As long as the Young Bucks are embroiled in the A story, they're not losing those tag titles. The Best Friends interrupt. OC says, "Hey, it's nice to see you in the ring together again." He rolls footage of stuff that happened like over a year ago of them beating the crap out of Orange Cassidy, whatnot.
Yep.
Chuck and Trent and Statlander are all out there with them. They say, "Yeah, we remember what happened." And Pac says, and Phoenix and Penta both they start getting up in the feels about it, like, "Oh, these guys want to get it." And then Pac's like, "No, listen. You see the writing." I'm starting to do Zach Gibson. Anyways, he says, "You see the writing on the wall. You want a shot at the next AEW tag champions. You're far from worthy. Get off our stage." Trent says, "We got to work our way back up. We understand." He says, "You can calm down, though, Triangle, because we're only out here to give you a heads up. The boys are back in town." I feel like that's a much better song for the Best Friends than the Pixies.
Yeah. Some Thin Lizzy.
There you go.
Anyway, we got a quick shot of Mike Tyson talking to the new Jaguars coach, Urban Meyer. And then we get the Inner Circle. They come to the ring. Jericho drops a good but long promo. He said it was a month ago. They were given the beatdown of a lifetime from the the Pinnacle. It gave them a wake-up call, made them realize they made a lot of bad decisions over the last 6 months. For that, they apologized to everyone. But those decisions were caused by MJF, who Jericho described as his jerk-off friend.
Mm-hmm.
MJ was bragging about outsmarting Jericho, and Jericho said he was right. Jericho says, I'm not smart at certain things like high school chemistry. He says, for real, my teacher asked me if I was on dope, but he's smart when it comes to pro wrestling.
So that was a quote. That was what everybody called, like, oh, are you on dope?
Yeah.
My dad, he would always reference the Dealer McDope comic book. It was like a underground San Francisco comic book from like the late 60s that apparently somebody had like copies of when he was in Nam.
Wow.
Yeah, Dealer McDope.
That's something else. So Jericho says, I'm smart when it comes to the pro wrestling, and that's why I brought MJF to the inner circle. I wasn't bringing him under my wing. I was keeping him under my thumb because I know how dangerous and good MJF is. I wanted to use him to benefit the inner circle. They had it all planned out. They were ready to kick MJF's ass whenever he turned on them. But what they didn't think about is that he'd be one step ahead. They got outsmarted by a man who can do everything except apply a spray tan. Jericho says MJF is only 25. He's at the pinnacle of the business, but MJF considers himself like a fine wine to be better with age, but MJF doesn't want to wait. He wants to be better than Jericho now. Those are huge shoes to fill. Hey, maybe take baby steps. Be better than Peter Avalon or Michael Nakazawa, or be better than the Burberry scarf you're still wearing. It says, time to change it up. Jericho says, I was rocking the scarf gimmick years ago. Why is MJF stealing my shit? It's lame. I got an old clipboard in the back if MJF wants to add it to the list of gimmicks he's stolen from Jericho. He says MJF isn't as good as he thinks he is. He sees MJF listening to the critics, see him listening to the fans online. He says MJF would check his social media to see how people thought he did after every segment. Jericho says, we call that in the business being a mark. He says, I'm going to start calling it being a max because MJF is a max for himself. He says the true issue is that MJF knows he'll never be better than Jericho. He'll never be better than him, and he knows it, and that's causing the fine wine at MJF's brain to ferment and sour. Because look at the sour men he's aligned himself with. Then he proceeds to run down each member of Pinnacle, calls Tully a third-rate horseman.
Ouch.
Compares FTR to the Jonas Brothers. Says they're great. They make money. I don't know who they are. Says he keeps hearing that Sean Spears has all this upside. He's never seen it. Says Wardlow has to strip naked to count to 21. He says, look at the inner circle, who will dominate AEW with the help of everyone. They know Pinnacle will beat the crap out of them. They don't care. They like to fight. They're going to shove the faces of Pinnacle up each other's asses and form a human centipede with MJF in the back. Jericho says if Pinnacle wants blood and violence, they've been waiting for a match since March 25th of last year. Blood and guts. May 5th. It's happening. Says they're the inner circle. They're going to beat the living shit out of Pinnacle, and the worst is yet to come.
Good recap. After that, we had a Christian Cage interview. He's just a lot of talking. He says, when you step in the ring with me, you got to level up because I make wrestlers better. You have to be good because I'm workhorse. And then my favorite guy, Taz, interrupts. Hey, Christian Cage. Oh, listen, I got one guy named Cage in my team. He's Team Taz. We want to be in Team Taz? Don't have to answer now. Sleep on it. And he's like, and then Dasha says, looks like you have a decision to make. Other people have a decision to make is King Kong and Godzilla or something like that.
Yeah,
yeah. So next up was the Godzilla versus Kong match. I still haven't seen this damn movie, Larson.
Yeah, I haven't watched it yet either. Maybe this weekend if I
wanted to do my dang review for it. Yeah, maybe it'll be the celebratory watch after Mania.
Maybe.
In any event, fun enough match. Luchasaurus got the pin on Bronson with a choke slam and a standing moonsault. After that, I really like this. It was
I thought it was good.
So obviously it started off as the Nightmare Factory, but it's the factory now. And it's a QT. He's in his school. He's surrounded by his dudes, and he's addressing Cody. And he says, you've got this false narrative that he says, QT says, all I've done is the work. He says, you have this false narrative that I don't do the work. He says, all I've done is the work. He says, look at your credentials. After you were playing second fiddle to Ted Jr., referencing Legacy, he says, you had to hide behind face paint because even being Dusty's kid couldn't cut it for you. So you went to the indies, surrounding yourself with vanilla midgets so you could feel like the star you never were. Unlike you, bargain brand Sting, I've never been afraid of others' success. I've surrounded myself with men, hungry men. Look at Aaron Solo. He'll never be known as just somebody's boyfriend. Camarado, not ever be called the body guy. And a go-go, And then Go-Go talks and he's like, I'm already a household name in the UK. And then he says a bunch of stuff, and then he says, "Oh, you Yanks are gonna learn soon enough the hard way."
I like the line. I do Subway commercials for business and punch people for pleasure.
Yeah. I missed so much that I was like, "Oh, this is all really good British stuff," but he's talking really fast.
It was good.
And then it goes back to QT and says, "Cody, this is my fucking factory," and they throw paint on the nightmare of it, so it's just left with the factory. So I thought it was strong stuff. I love QT. I'm really glad that he's out of the shadow of of Cody. I think this is good stuff. I mean, I don't know if they're going to be anything more than jobbers. Maybe one of them, or maybe a Go-Go will break out. Maybe they're all three. All three of these guys have really strong credentials.
Yeah.
So maybe
they said a Go-Go is going to make his in-ring debut next week.
Yeah, that should be interesting.
Next, we have the customary weekly Sting interview, and as one would expect, it was interrupted before he could get a word in. Jake Roberts comes out, and he says, "Sting, you know the deal. You start. You get interrupted. You do nothing." He tells Sting to shut his hole, asks where Darby is at. Jake says, "I'm a crazy SOB." They say the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again.
How many times have we heard that in popular culture over the past couple of years?
So many.
Everybody says it.
It's like really picked up steam in the last few years.
I did like when Jake said, "Where's your gerbil friend?"
Yeah.
He called him a gerbil.
Archer walks out and says, "Enough. If that's the definition of insanity, then Jake is crazy and I'm one sick son of a bitch, and I'm sick and tired of the agenda in AEW. I like that he brought this up. You bring me in, you push me to the top, then you take me away. I fight Mox, then I go away. I work main event after main event after main event, then I go away. And I'm done with it. The world is going to pay attention to Lance Archer. Sting, you're going to pay attention to Lance Archer because it's Lance Archer's time. I'm supposed to be in the main event. I should be having this interview." Sting snatches the mic from him, says, "It is his time," or says, "It's my time now. I'm in full agreement with you, Lance Archer. You should be a main event guy, but then you disappear, and I don't understand why. Jake, what's the matter with you? Tell Archer how to do it. Help Archer channel all this energy in the right direction. Then maybe he'll be contending for the AEW title in that ring without disappearing. Make it happen. Make it showtime. He has it in him. Now go do it. Do it." And Sting walks off.
Archer looks so like, "Oh yeah, I am a big deal.
Yeah.
Thanks, Sting." And it was funny because Jake was like speechless, like, "Oh yeah, this is probably what I should be doing, huh?"
Yeah, I know. And then during this, they have a couple shots of Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page up in the stands laughing,
so yucking it up. So I don't. Are they going to align with Archer, or are they going to feud with Archer?
Don't know.
What's that deal all about?
I mean, they're a tag team, and Archer is but one man.
Yeah, but you know what that means. Faction. Or handicap match. I don't know. Anyways,
I don't know.
Because they didn't really cut to them otherwise. It was just during this. Okay.
Yep.
Anyways, after that we had Team Taz. Again, no idea why this thing existed.
Exactly, and that's why it bugged me.
It was just Starks wanted to hear from Cage. Taz says, "Stop instigating." He says, "Listen, we've got an offer out to a real blue chipper, Christian Cage." And he says, "We got to be smart about this." Yeah, I don't know.
You understand, Ricky? Yes, I understand.
Yeah, this didn't. So why would they have a camera on these guys?
There's no reason for it.
This is where you implement the old school TNA fly on a wall camera. AEW, if somebody's paying attention, sometimes I think they are.
Talk to camera.
Listen. AEW, one of the great things about AEW is that you've never had a problem appropriating and paying homage to other wrestling promotions, to other wrestling tropes in the past. And so you should have no problem when a promo like this shows up, when it really should be a private conversation. Utilize the old Impact TNA fly on the wall camera where one of these cameramen is motivated, happened to be capturing a conversation that's going down, instead of just, okay, everybody stand here for a purposeless promo. Like in the universe, in the storyline, why would this camera guy be here?
See, for example, I'll use this as an example. So in a little bit after the TNT title match, Jericho's doing an interview with Marvez and he's attacked. And then we follow Jericho and Pinnacle to the ring, and Marvez has the cameraman. He's like, come on, let's go. Run with me.
Exactly.
They run to the Inner Circle locker room to find out why they're not helping out Jericho. They've been locked inside. Stuff like that where, maybe there's something going, and some NXT used to do really well. Where they had something going on in the foreground, and in the background they'd catch something. So the camera crew would go and run and focus on that, or you just see action play out in the background that'd make its way to the foreground. Something that's more organic. And then when they have these promos and interviews that are so staged, and half the time feel like there's no point to them, it's just not efficient storytelling. It's just it. It's all about efficiency. Yeah. You got 2 hours. You got to use it wisely.
That is one of my favorite conventions of old TNA when they did that stuff, because it felt so natural. It was I really love that stuff. After that, we had Darby Allin versus J.D. Drake. Talk about the low end faction right here. J.D. Drake. You've got Nick Nemeth. You've got Cesar Bononi.
Is Peter Avalon still part of this?
And Avalon, but I think he's injured now. So yeah, he's like the guy with like the 1-in-58 record or whatever it is leading a faction. So at least QT knows that the factory is going to be at least not at the bottom of factions.
Yeah. I thought this match was a lot of fun. I was not that familiar with JD Drake's work. That bit he did where he flung Darby off the floor of the ropes and then clotheslined him on the rebound. That was great.
Yeah, that was fun. There was a lot of cool stuff in this match. Oh, I forgot to mention. So I know they've probably worn this every single time, and I just haven't noticed. But Bear Country's masks, their entrance masks, are amazing. Did you see these?
Yeah, I've noticed them before.
They're great. Their faces are in a bear trap.
But then also they have little ears on it, I thought, didn't they?
Oh, do they?
I thought they had little bear ears.
I was trying to figure out what it was.
Yeah, it's bear trap.
Bear trap in their face. Did they have the faces molded to make them look like their own faces?
No, it's see-through. It's just that you have the border and then some stuff across, but there's nothing over it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I thought it was like an Oz situation where Nash was wearing like a mask, but I think it was supposed to look like Nash with a beard.
No, I don't think that's the case, no.
They're creepy as hell.
I swore they had little ears on it too.
Like what kind of ears?
Like bear ears, like little bear ears.
I didn't notice the bear ears. So they're supposed to be like bear people? Like they're bear human faces with bear ears?
Oh, I guess they're not. Well, those are different masks than what they're wearing now. I'm trying to find a good picture. I guess they're not bear ears. That's my imagination. Yeah, the masks are weird.
They're really weird. Like I feel like it's really not. Like if you're in.
Hold on. Okay, this one. I don't know how old this picture is, but in this picture, yeah, it's like molded faces.
I swear to God that they had molded faces last night.
Yeah, that one did too.
And I didn't know if the molded faces are meant to look like them. Isn't it weird that, like, if you're in bear country, is one of the problems you might have getting your face stuck in a bear trap?
Maybe. Yeah, this one. I guess they are molded faces.
It's usually such a
quick. It's usually such a quick little shot.
Well, I stopped it, and I was like, "What? Wait a second. What are these masks?"
All right, Asia Mer says, yes, they're molded faces. Doesn't look like them, though. Yeah, that's weird then.
It's really, it's fascinating. And not really, like, their gimmick should be, hey, we're fun bear guys.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, they really should have run this past Cal in the first place, because that was like his thing. But I mean, at least his is like Cal's gimmick. He's Grizzly Cal.
He is a bear.
I think it's gimmick. He is a bear. Are these guys hapless bear hunters or something? It's like a grizzly man, but he never got his head caught in a trap.
No, just a bear. I didn't want to say it.
No, that was good. If I thought about it, I would have said it. I'm sorry, but at a certain point, that's your own fault. At a certain point, it's like, dude, what are you doing out there? And then that poor girl who's probably like, oh, this guy's interesting. I'm sure he's safe.
That's rough. Gosh.
That is rough.
When Here's Ugly is the audio, is like, no one's that's a messed up move. I should have made that joke.
Must destroy this tape. No one must listen to this ever.
I should have made up that joke.
Are you interested in WrestleMania?
In the WrestleMania.
In the WrestleMania.
Anyways, let's move on before we start making more tacky jokes. Anyways, let's talk about this Darby Allin JT Drake match. It was good. What? What are you laughing at? Are you upset that you didn't say it?
Yeah, kind of. Be honest with you.
All right.
Yeah, kind of. I don't want you to feel bad for a joke that I would have made easily because it's pretty funny. Anyways.
All right.
Darby obviously got the win here with an avalanche code red, which is like my favorite move, and a coffin drop, which is not my favorite move. Afterwards, Hardy Family Industries attack Darby. This is when things get really crazy on the stage. Bunny starts shouting.
That's the way you put that. It's just funny. Let me laugh.
Bunny wants to put him through the table. She starts like yelling at Excalibur for everybody to move away from the table so they can put him. She doesn't see what's going on in the background. Dark Order runs off Hardy Family Industries, leaving Tay Conti, who's aligned with the Dark Order, obviously, to attack Bunny. She sort of turns around and she's like, "Oh, where'd my guys go? Dark Order's here." Then Tay Conti attacks Bunny. The ref comes out, breaks it up.
Yep, that's it. And then we have a extended video package about the
Good
Mox
Lord,
Candy.
there's so many segments.
I know.
There are a lot.
Usually
there's
like 10 segments. And
We're
long
usually
matches.
done with the recap by now.
I know. So we get a video package where the Mox Kenny, Good Brothers, Young Bucks stuff. Jericho interview, which we talked about briefly a little bit ago. Jericho's about to have an interview with Marvez. Pinnacle attack him, bring him out to the ring. Wardlow is about to powerbomb him through a table set up outside. He's still in the ring. Cameraman goes back. Inner Circle's locked in their dressing room. They start breaking through the door. Mike Tyson comes out, starts fending off Pinnacle, making the save for Jericho. He's joined by the rest of the Inner Circle. They clear the ring. Jericho gets to his feet, extends his hand to Mike Tyson. Tyson shakes it. They embrace. Jericho says, "Thank you."
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I hope they have some explanation as to why. Because last time we saw Jericho and Tyson in the ring together, they were throwing hands at each other.
Yeah. I like Tyson on top of Spears beating him up. That was cool.
That was great. Tyson looks great, man.
Oh, he looks amazing. He looks he was having a good time out there too. After that, we had a Britt Baker interview. Says Tony Khan should give me a match. Everybody's asking when am I getting
This was really good. This was really good.
Britt Baker's like one of my favorites right now. He should give me a match for the title. She says the ranking system is bullshit. Although they beeped her, that bugged me. She said it should be based off.
Yeah.
Right? The dudes get to say it.
Wasn't later in the same, I mean, it wasn't the same promo. There was another promo where it was the QT one where he said bullshit and they beeped it. Then I think Agogo said shit and they didn't beep it.
That's weird. I thought they were doing something funky with Chris Jericho's microphone, but it was just his microphone, I think. Because there
was weird audio stuff going on where it was like stuff you said a minute ago was popping in my audio.
Yeah, like and then like when Trent was on the stage, the audio was like I couldn't hear what he was saying.
Yeah, the audio, they didn't bring up his mic enough. Yeah,
it was
or
weird.
He was holding it too far.
So anyway, she says the ranking system is bullshit. It should be based off star power, merch sales, rating, demo, performance. She says the system's broken. She's like, I'm gonna have to start getting my wins up. You can see me on Dynamite, Dark, and Elevation, getting my wins to climb up the rankings.
That was good.
Yeah, it was really good stuff.
It was good. After that, we had the Bunny versus Tay Conti. Tay Conti's gotten so good.
Yeah, man, she's really terrific.
Her strikes are legit. They look like they're stiff and they hurt. Yeah. Despite a Hardy family office trying to get involved, she ends up getting the win after a hammerlock DDT. Fun match. Then after that, we got announcements for next week's show: Young Bucks versus Phoenix and Pac. Anthony Ogogo making his in-ring debut. Jade Cargill versus Red Velvet. There's Red Velvet had a bit of a promo. Dax Harwood versus Chris Jericho. Tyson will be the special enforcer, and the Inner Circle and Pinnacle will be banned from ringside.
And then we had a Red Velvet video promo. She responded to Jade Cargill's video promo from last week and said, you better be that bitch that gets the job done. After that, we had our main event, the Young Bucks and Mox versus Kenny and the Good Brothers. Story, this is basically Matt's sort of identity crisis. He didn't want to fight Kenny.
He didn't mind fighting him. He didn't want to hurt him.
Yeah, right. You know, he didn't want to put him down. It comes to a head. Matt won't super kick Kenny. He sort of has Kenny on the ropes a little bit. He won't super kick him. Kenny slaps him until Matt takes him down, gives him a ground and pound. The match sort of breaks down at that point. Kenny hits Matt with a dragon suplex, another one. Finally, Matt gets a pile driver off, gets two. Then afterward, they all fight a bunch. The Bucks can't bring themselves to do a BTE trigger. Mox is like, dude, come on, let's just do the thing. He's like, here, I'll show you how to do it. Comes in, paradigm shift, another one, a sleeper. And then Nick and Matt are like, no. And they super kick him. Eddie Kingston comes limping, running out. The Good Brothers attack him. They get a close-up on Matt, and his tanner is just leaking all over his face. Excalibur's trying to say it's tears. And then a magic killer on Mox, and the Good Brothers drape Kenny over Mox.
Yeah.
After the match, the Good Brothers pick Mox up, tell the Bucks to super kick him. They do it. They all hug. Matt tells Kenny, "I'm sorry." And then, he goes up for a too sweet, and then they all hug instead.
Yeah.
Matt.
So one thing I found kind of interesting is there's that bit with the stuff with Matt. They can't do, or they won't do the BT trigger, and it seems like it's mostly Matt's doing. Even Nick's like, "Come on, let's do it," which has always kind of been their dynamic. Even go back to the New Japan days, that Matt is kind of the one that's a bit more emotional, sentimental maybe. And then so Mox tags himself in and is like, "Oh, I'll show you how to do it." He has the first paradigm shift, and then he gets in Nick's face. And and headbutts him kind of and starts talking trash to him, and then hits another. So it's like, okay, they're getting enough pieces in there. We understand. Like Matt obviously is already torn. Now that Mox gets in Nick's face and kind of challenges him a little bit, you understand why then Nick would follow his brother and turn it on Mox.
Yeah.
I mean, this might have been more effective if it wasn't stuff we'd already seen before, more or less,
Yeah, I just feel like I need to understand, like the whole he's your friend thing kind of only goes so far. I don't know somebody who has changed in my life so drastically and have become so insufferable to be around that I would let my nostalgia for this person dictate that, oh no, I'm going to stick through them thick and thin. I'm going to change who I am for this person, even though clearly they've gone down a path. So to me, it just doesn't seem like I need to know why Matt's doing this, because Kenny is almost cartoonish in his heel ways these days. And there's nothing appealing about Don Callis. They have the titles. It's not success. It's a personal thing. And it's like, why are you doing this? Kenny has not displayed any signs that he's still worth it. So that's the big disconnect for me, is that the story beat that's missing is, why are you so torn? He's an asshole.
No, agreed. Want to answer a few questions? Yeah.
Yes, of course.
All right. Gareth gifted a sub to Quoth the Raven. Thank you, Gareth. Up to 99.
Oh my goodness! You're almost at 100, Gareth.
I'm just trying to do something. Is it me, or does sometimes seem Tyson doesn't know what to do with his hands?
You know what? I imagine anybody that. By the way, I didn't put up a thread on the Patreon, so y'all in Twitch chat, load up these questions here because we're gonna need them. I would imagine that would be an issue for me in wrestling.
Yes.
When you and I brought the H title to the ring at Virgil Flynn
Productions, yes.
I didn't know what to do with my hands. I didn't know what to do with myself. What do I do with myself? Am I going to put it in my pockets?
I know. No, I know.
Dominic used to do that. I was actually putting together a supercut there was a promo that Ray had once. It was either a promo or he was in a match, and they kept on cutting to Dom, and Dom was always in the shot, either in close-up or medium close-up, or he was in a long shot when they were showing the match, and every time he had his hands were doing something different. And I noticed that. I'm like, I wouldn't know what to do either. You have to plan it. You have to plan that stuff, Well,
especially if you're a little nervous,
Well, yeah, exactly.
Rocco, Steve's interpretation of Taz would not be out of place in the Mario Brothers movie. Taz should be Bowser or someone in an animated film.
I could see him as the Bowser. Yeah, totally. He could be a Bowser.
Joe Juarez, should Blood and Guts or Double or Nothing be moved to the football stadium? I would not be surprised if they had the actual Blood and Guts match at the football stadium. I don't know where the ring is in Daly's place, if they can accommodate 2 rings. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know how efficient it would be to move everything around, but at the same time, I don't know how they do that. Like, you probably want fans there.
Yeah. Dang MQ, if Sheamus was to go to AEW, should Tony Khan buy the rights to Lobster Head? It depends if that's an in-house theme from WWE or not. I don't know.
I would suspect it is. The AEW really just needs to start doing what TNA used to do. That's one if somebody's paying attention, do that.
Say it to camera. Don't say it to me. Say it to camera.
If you're paying attention, which I know you are, don't take somebody else's theme song from a different company, slightly tweak it, and then air it.
There you go.
Like that NWO theme was just a bad idea.
Man.
It was terrible.
Yeah. It was not good. White Brownie, with the way this episode went, next week being the start of being unopposed, where do you see the viewership at? Unless they have something huge happening, I still don't think even unopposed they're going to get much more over 800,000 on a weekly basis. I think where they're at, about 750, 800, that's kind of going to be what it's going to be.
My guess is the new normal will be generally 60 or so thousand over where they usually are. I know, looking at some of the numbers in the past, I don't remember exactly what they are, but like we've had instances where, they've run unopposed, and you could see a bit of a pattern that there was a group of people who would be watching NXT if they were on, and they did watch AEW. And it wasn't like a massive mess. It's not going to get them to like 1 million. I am kind of surprised that they're not. I mean, with NXT, they might start advertising it after tonight's takeover, but they're both not advertising it as like sort of a new beginning. Because, I mean, AEW, like I said earlier, they're really good at promoting stuff, and any opportunity for anything to be, a big deal. And the first Wednesday unopposed, it's kind of a big deal. Like it could be considered, hey, a new beginning or a new chapter or something like that.
Yeah. And I'm kind of surprised that they really weren't pushing that. And I'm surprised that NXT hasn't been advertising, hey, we're going to Tuesdays a heck of a lot more.
Yeah.
Uninvited Ghost, who do you think the live fans would cheer for at a Darby versus Jungle Boy match right now?
It would be split. It would be so split. I mean, I think an AEW crowd would not turn on one person. I think that they would all be cheering just the best match possible.
Rocco says, did you know there were 74 wrestlers on AEW last night? I saw something like that on Twitter, yeah.
A lot of people getting TV time.
Jaden, MJF, Sammy Guevara, or Ricky Starks, who goes to WWE first, if any?
Not MJF. Definitely not MJF. And I would be shocked. I'll actually say this. Sammy wouldn't shock me, nor would Ricky Starks. But Sammy wouldn't shock me because his main mentor is Chris Jericho. And Chris Jericho is a guy who has been everywhere. He's done everything. And he recognizes that you need to invest in what's best for yourself. And that doesn't always go hand in hand with remaining loyal,
Yeah, totally.
So it's like, I think he would probably say, hey, listen, keep good relationships, but go where you're valued the most.
Yep.
But MJF, they've shot MJF to the moon. I would be shocked if MJF left. I mean, he's so young. Like maybe in 5 years, maybe the landscape will be much different. Maybe he'll have done everything he could do in AEW. And he's like, hey, I just want, I need some time away from the company.
That could be.
And he'll only be 30.
I know, that's crazy.
This is an interesting question. Fear and Loathing. Steve, if Larson changed his attitude, if you had an attitude adjustment, into a slick Louisiana Bayou guy who is a gigolo that collected and spent going in raw funds on Fabergé eggs, would you still be able to coexist with him? No. I'm too old for changes like that.
What would be the deal breaker? What are those changes would be the deal breaker?
If you change your attitude, like all of a sudden you got a new accent. I'll say it.
Yeah, start talking like Foghorn Leghorn.
Steve, have you seen these Fabergé eggs? I don't want to
highly collectible.
Maybe you just make me laugh. I don't know. Maybe I'm too old to be like, well, I can't start over. Yeah, I don't know. That's a good one. Let's see here.
Favorite customer after the match with Rich Swann. Who should be the next 3 feuds for Kenny Omega?
Yeah, okay, so that's a good question. So he's got Swan at AEW pay-per-view. I'm sorry, Impact pay-per-view.
Yeah.
He's got, and then what does Kenny do at Double or Nothing?
It seems like he's going to have another match with Mox.
Yeah, that would probably make sense, huh? Yeah, that could be. Jorge D. with Hangman kicking out of a punch with a metal chain and Matt Jackson kicking out of a metal bat to his injured back. That was amazing. Do AEW devalue weapons too much and make them a regular move? I mean, yes. The answer is yes, because we saw the same thing. Tay Conti took a kendo stick to the head, and they gave her time to shake it off.
Yeah.
But, yeah, moves in general in AEW are sold quite a bit less than in other promotions. But people like it, so it's okay.
Yeah. It's a different approach.
Let's see here. One more good quote. Well, we'll ask this one. Rocco basically asks, should AEW release some people because they might have too many and they could free up some room for guys like Andrade or Enzo and Cass in AEW? I think that I don't really have an answer to that question. They seem to have no problem bringing people in. I mean, I don't know, man. History will tell if they're using Christian correctly right now, for example.
Yeah.
You know, he hasn't been on a lot. When it's time, I feel like they do have a decent idea of, okay, when it's time to feature somebody, we really feature them. Mm-hmm. And it keeps things moving. It keeps things fresh. I mean, things haven't really gotten stale in AEW, so I kind of feel like, no, they don't need to do that. But where are they going to be in 2 years? I don't know. I mean, Rocco says, where's Joey Janela, for example? But he's kind of like, that's kind of an outlier, I feel. Yeah. I don't know I don't know the story there. I really don't. But I wonder if, because, you know, Joey Janela, he's got like a GCW match coming up, I think. God, I swear I saw something recently with him in GCW. I think him and Sonny Kiss made a pretty decent tag team, and they never did anything with that. Yeah, and I don't know the story with that, but that kind of, in my opinion, is not the standard in AEW.
I mean, as we just mentioned earlier, they managed to find a way to get 74 different people on the show. You know, was it a featured thing? No, but you're on the show and you're involved. That's kind of the upside of having a lot of factions is you might not be getting 20-minute matches every week, but you're involved in something. And so long as you're involved, you got a shot at some point to start having those matches, you know, and might be on Elevation, might start on Dark. You get some wins under your belt. And then you find your way to Dynamite, you know. I think it's kind of too soon to tell. I mean, my default position is I don't want to see wrestlers get laid off, get released.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Because that's wrestlers out of work, you know. And yeah, there's more places to work, but at the same time, still a lot of uncertainty going on out there in the world. And especially if your fallback is going back on the independents, well, that's not exactly up and running at full speed yet.
It's, yeah, I agree with everything he said. It's still, no matter where you are, no matter what you're doing, this goes across every job. Success depends on hard work, networking, and luck. You know, it's like not everybody can make it to the top. Not everybody can have the title. If you can put together a decent career where you're making decent money and you do it for an extended period of time, that maybe you've made some good decisions. You know, you can't be upset about that. Mm-hmm. Joey Janela, some people are saying that. So Joe says, I thought Janela is more involved in scouting the independents for talent. Jorge also says Janela and Chris Dickinson is the main event of Spring Break. That's what I was thinking of.
That's right. That's right. And then a couple people are saying that that Sonny and Joey are mainly on Dark or Elevation.
Okay. And then somebody said, Flat says having a good relation with Janela, who runs one of the best indie promotions, is probably, I mean, GCW is the top indie promotion in the country. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, if that's kind of his thing, is like, hey, you can do the GCW stuff as long as it doesn't get too crazy. You're not going off rooftops or anything. Plus you are featured on Dark and things like that. Plus, you're a vital pipeline to the independent scene. If everybody's happy with that arrangement, then we don't need more of Joey Janela on TV, you know?
Mm-hmm. Like we said before, it all depends on what aligns with each individual's ambitions, you know?
Exactly. If people are happy with their role, then we should be happy for them. Mm-hmm. And then there you go. Anyways, that's going to do it for the show. Twitch chat, stick around for a little bit. We'll chat you up. Till next time, we'll talk to you later.
Goodbye.
Help support Going In Raw today by becoming a Friendo Club TV member. You'll get access to new bonus episodes every week, including Friendo Club Arcade, Live Power Rank, Vintage 10 for the Wins, and Ask Steven Larson. Get access to Friendo Club TV today by becoming a $5 and up patron at patreon.com/Steven Larson, by throwing us a sub at twitch.tv/Steven Larson, or by clicking join at youtube.com/Steven Larson.